Well, today marks a historic day for the epicenter of COVID-19 in America. New York City finally enters phase 1 of its reopening plan. Now, New York State was hit hard in the pandemic, losing more than 30,000 lives. Gosh. But the governor says they're now in a much different place. Dr. Payal Kohli, the doctor after my own heart, and she's a cardiologist.
Good one.
Thanks. Is wearing hunter green and joining us today. She's here to help us stay safe and informed. Doctor, even though we're not in New York, this feels like a huge step for America. So do we know exactly how effective these lockdown measures have been in keeping us safe and also high?
Hi, Tori. And yes, we do actually. In fact, just in the last couple of weeks, Tori, we got a couple of new studies published in the journal Nature that looked at the effect of the lockdowns on the mortality rate as well as the number of infections. So the first was out of University of California, Berkeley, and that actually estimated that without the lockdown, we would have had 465 times as many infections in China and 14 times as many in the US. I'm just going to let that sink in for a second because that really shows us what an impact we made. And there was a similar study that came out of London that showed we actually saved 3.1 million lives and reduced the infection rate by 81%. So I felt really good after seeing these studies because the lockdown has been so hard on all of us, and this really validates that we're doing it for such a good cause.
Wow, that's huge good news.
That is. I have a lot of questions, but I'm going to stick to the script. We're seeing a spike in cases in states like Florida, Utah, and Arizona. Do we know if that's because of the protests? This is kind of what I was going to ask.
Yeah, that is your question.
Great question, Jeff. So it's a little early for the protest. If you think about it, we haven't quite hit our 2-week mark, which we're going to hit this week. But really, they used contact tracers to figure out where these infections are coming from, because that's how we can tell. And what they found in Utah was that this was a result of Mother's Day celebrations and some early Memorial Day celebrations. Yeah, so you see the impact about 3 weeks later. And in Arizona, similarly, they found that they opened up the restaurants on May 11th for dine-in service. And that's one of the reasons we're starting to see that spike now. So keep that in mind, because this really demonstrates when we're going to see the effects of these protests, which will be in about 2 or 3 weeks.
Wow. All right, Doc, in the places that had large protests, how can people be proactive against a second spike? I know Denver's giving free testing to any protester.
Yeah, this is really important because, like I said, the spike may be coming in 2 or 3 weeks. So if you're going to the protest, wear a mask, wear eye protection, even sunglasses is better than nothing at all, and really try to keep that distance. I know it's really nice to link arms with somebody else and protest together, but it's really important because masks are not a replacement for social distancing. And then after you've gone to the protest, keep your distance from high-risk groups until you can get that test 5 to 7 days later and test negative.
That's a good point.
Yeah, I think testing is important. I know there's a lot of controversy over that. How is that going to help anything? But I think if you've been in those groups and you're not spreading it on once you've been tested, for me personally, that's important, and I'd like to get tested myself.
Am I right, Doc, too, as Jeff said, that testing and the vaccine is when I should feel like, okay?
Yeah, I was going to say, you guys, testing has to now become a way of life for us. It has to be just like going to the grocery store. And that's how we can open up the country safely. We have to get used to the concept of getting tested not just once, but over and over again. And as you pointed out, Tori, as we have that and we have the vaccine, we will be able to get back to our lives as normal.
Wow. Well, you tested my heart. You were so good today. It was so good seeing you, honestly. Don't laugh. That's really good. She understands. She feels the same.
If I had known you were going to be here, I would have put on a new dress.
See? I shall love her. Someone wrote, oh, the doc is an evergreen. People love this.
I'm gonna keep it quiet over here.
Yeah,
Doc.
all right,
Good
fine.
job.
Thank you, doctor. You'll be back tomorrow, and I can't wait for it. So if you have a question about coronavirus you want answered by Dr. Kohli, just write us on social media. You can also email info@dailyblastlive.com. There's no panic, just prevention and precautions, right?
Yep.